One. I want to welcome everybody today. Very busy schedules as we were all just discussing. My name is Lisa Greening and I am the project director of Turn the Page STL. In December 2020, and by the way, Turn the Page STL is a new organization. It's a collective impact organization that started last year as a chapter of the National Campaign for Grade Level Reading, primarily to help align our literacy resources that we have in the St. Louis community and to bring in dollars, public and private dollars into the St. Louis community to address those schools that are struggling with ensuring that all of our children are reading proficiently by the end of third grade. In December 2020, so just a little over a month ago, right before winter break, we released, Turn the Page released our strategic plan. It was a plan that took us over a year to put together collectively with over 60 stakeholders and over maybe 150 family organizations and members. We did this with Kylie Bednar and Bernea Lester with UMSL's Social Innovation and Action Center. And when we presented the plan, we had a large group of literacy nonprofits, early childhood programs, local and statewide organizations, and families living in the Promise Zone School District attend the strategic planning meeting. But we realized December was a very difficult time for our school districts and charter schools to join us in the celebration. Therefore, we invited you today. And as we can see, it's just almost, it's difficult today as it is pretty much any time. It's been a difficult year. So today, many of your cohorts in your district or in your charter schools participated in providing information and quantitative and qualitative information for our strategic plan. So this is actually what I'm about to present, your strategic plan. It's a culmination of many conversations from families, stories from teachers, early childhood providers, stories from local nonprofit organizations, and from other grade level reading chapters across the country, stories from local and national researchers, and numbers that tell a story from the Promise Zone school districts and charter schools. First, all this went into a needs assessment, which we're going to get into. Our team at UMSL and Turn the Page STL collected data from 6 primary data sources, including our school districts, our charter schools, and among others. We had 8 focus groups of educators and families. And then we worked with you this past summer to determine the root causes behind why our children are not reading proficiently by the end of third grade and why here in St. Louis. Together over a series of 3 meetings with brainstorming and voting and ranking and ordering, we determined that there were 6 factors that Turn the Page is poised to act on to end racial disparities in literacy rates in our region. And using these factors, we wrote a logic model, or if you will, our own story of how we can change together. By the end of this week, by the end of this week, I'm going to be sending all of you and your colleagues a completed 2021-2023 strategic plan. But I wanted to get you excited today about this plan. Few bits of housekeeping on this slide. And at the end, we'll have time for questions. So place yourself on mute. You can ask questions in the chat and we'll get to them at the end. This whole presentation really is about 20 minutes. So we have a lot of time for questions. And let us know you are here in the chat below. And let's start. So our story begins. 3 or 4 years ago, as the former director of Ready Readers, we formed a little group of nonprofit literacy organizations with books for kids and raising a reader and Reach Out and Read and the library systems and the St. Louis Regional Literacy Association and the YMCA. And we started to get together and said, we have all of this wealth of programming in the St. Louis community, but why is it that by the end of third grade, the first time all students in Missouri are tested using the same assessment, children are not reading proficiently. In many of your schools, we're looking at only 15 to 20% of your children passing the third grade reading proficiency exam. And as a team, we also saw that literacy is a social justice issue. Reading skills are necessary for any participation in the modern economy. But even more important, reading inspires readers, helps them grow in empathy, civility, spirituality, and I even say political responsibility. Lack of interest in reading is a social ill, leaving people less able to enter the marketplace of ideas or rescue their fellow citizens from injustice. Encouraging a love of reading is likely not only to improve the economic quality of life, but also to deepen and enrich life shared together in society. I know everyone on this call is 100% behind, but we're going to find out why this is not happening. We were strong in our convictions, but we needed a roadmap. And so we saw the successes of increase in third grade reading proficiency in Kansas City with Turn the Page KC. This is Kansas City's chapter of the National Campaign for Grade Level Reading. So in January 2020, a little over a year ago, Turn the Page STL formally became St. Louis's chapter of the National Campaign for Grade Level Reading, with one project director, me, Lisa, and three board members, Julius B. Anthony with St. Louis Black Authors, Lisa Carrico with the Missouri Humanities Council, and Nicole Clausen with the St. Louis County Library. Our mission, Turn the Page, a collective impact organization, is dedicated to increasing the number of children that are reading at or above grade level by the end of third grade in the St. Louis community. We had a mission, but then we had to meet with you. And we asked, again, the question, again and again, why on average fewer than 20% of our students in our Promise Zone school districts are not able to pass the third grade reading proficiency exam? Forward through Ferguson's recent report this fall 2020, Still Separate, Still Unequal, a call to launch our education advocacy tool, and you can check it out at stillunequal.org, is the primary recent resource for understanding outcome disparities in education, including the educational environment, funding, personal property tax, and segregation. But the bottom line is, and I'm going to read these statistics so that you understand the incredible work that you are doing in educating our children, but the incredible work that you are doing in educating our children, but the barriers, the strong barriers that you're up against. For example, the history, this was in Mapping Decline, St. Louis and the Fate of the American City. The history of St. Louis is bound up in a tangle of local, state, and federal policies that explicitly and decisively sorted the city's growing population by race. These intense concentrations of African Americans in certain wards or neighborhoods, primarily in North St. Louis City and County. And as time progressed, systemic racism became embedded in the fabric of the St. Louis community. The city of St. Louis, Missouri remains one of the most segregated cities in the US. According to a study by the Manhattan Institute in 2012. They were quoted as saying from many St. Louisans that the racism that Black people feel in our city feels normal. This has resulted in high poverty rates for African Americans in St. Louis. The rate of poverty ranged from 4 to 6 times higher for African Americans compared to whites in St. Louis. And how does segregation and racism affect education? Property tax. The problem with the school funding system that relies so heavily on local property taxes is straightforward. Property values vary a lot from neighborhood to neighborhood, district to district, and with them tax revenues. And to help poorer schools compensate for that local imbalances, some states, including Missouri, have recently stepped in, yet the disparities are still great. And my charter school friends on this call understand that the charter schools have even greater disparity in taxes revenue. In addition to unequal schools, when looking at third grade reading proficiency rates based on student scores of the MAP, Missouri Assessment Program test in St. Louis City and County, African American students are reading less proficiently and at much lower rates than their white peers, even in wealthier districts. Therefore, the setting of our story is, our story takes place in St. Louis City and County, where structural racism and historic disinvestment are impacting Black and Brown children's reading ability. Yep, everybody's coming in. Then we came back to you this summer and asked, what are the root causes for why our children are not reading proficiently by the end of third grade? We listened and asked you why, and why here in St. Louis. These root causes come from, as I said, lack of resources over generations, a very traumatized system, poverty, extreme poverty leads to families that are struggling daily just to put food and clothes. We have a system that is broken with trust. Our families, we found when meeting with them, we're lacking trust in not just their libraries or their public schools or their charter schools, but with their neighbors too. We also are in the state of Missouri. That is a big struggle for St. Louis. Urban educational reform and resources are hard to come by. And systemic racism throughout our entire community. That Delmar divide is real. And as we all struggled with starting last March, became the digital divide. So in addition to this needs assessment, we wrote a turn the page root cause analysis, and it is 12 pages of why and why here, and that will be included in that final strategic plan that you'll get at the end of the week. So we have the setting for our story, but who are our characters? It's not going to take me, it's not going to take our mayor, it's not going to take a superintendent here or a superintendent there, or Desi. It's going to take all of us. This is our cast of characters that we've been working with this past year, including the St. Louis County Library, St. Louis Public Library, our municipal libraries, including the University City Public Library and Ferguson Municipal Library, our media sponsor, the 9 Network, our 7 Promise Zone school districts and 13 charter schools, our high quality early childhood centers, the YMCA, Oasis, the Missouri History Museum, United for Children, STAR, Arches, our local universities of education, including UMSL, SLU, Maryville, literacy programs, including Ready Readers, Read from the Start, the Metro East Literacy Project, St. Louis Black Authors of Children's Literature, Scholastic, Ready to Learn, the Village of Moms, and with the City of St. Louis and St. Louis County. We're working with those collaborative partners too, as you can see, Ready by 21, Normandy's Community Impact Network, St. Louis and the Missouri Literacy Associations. Our community priorities, as you can see, are based on what is happening here in St. Louis, and then not to recreate, but to support. And I want to thank our funders that are going to make this work possible through our local funders, the Clark Fox Foundation, PNC Bank, Dana Brown, Youth Bridge, which is also our fiscal sponsor, the Sci Foundation, and the United Way of Greater St. Louis. Now that we have a setting and a cast of characters, the plot begins. This is not our usual St. Louis story or plot. The story of Turn the Page STL is not about, and I repeat this over and over, about closing the achievement gap of our students. It is about decreasing the opportunity gap so that St. Louis is a community with no disparities in literacy based on race or zip code. The usual plot, I argue, is that leaders have concentrated exclusively on the achievement gap policy, whereby students, teachers, and schools are measured and sanctioned, and they have left untouched the vast opportunity gap. Turn the Page STL with you, our community members, our families, our children, our teachers are here to decrease those opportunity gaps by one, raising expectations, aligning high-quality, outcome-based, culturally relevant literacy services for students, empower local communities to connect and communicate, while finding national resources so that all children in our community graduate third grade reading proficiently. As I mentioned, we had 6 focus areas that came out of our study. 6 factors why a child gets the end of third grade not reading proficiently. And these are the factors that we will be tackling over the next years. Those are kindergarten readiness, summer and out of school learning time, you know, the summer slide, access to quality literacy programs, teacher preparedness, community awareness, and family engagement. So we start with chapter 1, our first factor, kindergarten readiness. Child's literacy starts the day they're born. We will look at the abundance of the quality of programs to ensure that all children are ready by kindergarten as defined by their community. We're going to work alongside our collective community priorities by helping to define kindergarten readiness, but that definition, resources, and goals are based on how that community's children learn to read. We have chapter 2, summer and out of school time learning. We have an incredible wealth of summer and out of school time programs here in St. Louis. Let's communicate with communities about the resources, and let's add a literacy component to all of our school time programs. Chapter 3 was access to quality literacy programs. We have them in St. Louis. Let's align and support them in the community and in your schools. Chapter 4 is the reason that this little group I've brought back together today. Teacher preparedness. During the process of meeting with superintendents, it became clear that our teachers need additional training in teaching children how to read. Turn the Page STL strongly supports and will work with the Missouri's Comprehensive Literacy State Development Program in order to ensure our teachers receive quality literacy professional development. We'll also seek additional funding to support quality professional development and in-classroom coaching. So I congratulate those charter schools and school districts that received that Missouri Comprehensive Literacy Program. I would like everyone on this call to keep in contact with me so that I can make sure that you are receiving the best resources from UMSL and from the state of Missouri for your teachers. And I want you to know at the end of this, I'm going to talk about some other opportunities for your teachers to learn through Turn the Page STL. Our last 2 factors is community awareness and family engagement. We have to understand that families are their child's first teacher. We need to create a trusting, well-resourced neighborhood by neighborhood literacy safety net for all families. Okay, so this is the fun, see if I can do this. So in the fall, our 60 stakeholders got together and said, let's create a logic model. Let's create our inputs and our outputs and our strategic outcomes based on these 6 factors. And I met with my board and I started talking about the logic model, and I put them all to sleep. And so we decided to put the model in a bit of a little 3-minute video form, kind of inspired by Bob Dylan. Sorry. If you cannot hear, please say something in the chat. Together, we will elevate the issue of literacy in the St. Louis community with a city countywide marketing blitz starting January 2020. Reading is fun, and literacy empowers all. And together. Sorry about this. That is as loud as I can get it. I apologize. If it's on, if you can't hear, we'll just skip it and I'll send it to you tomorrow. Together. Oh, I'm so sorry. I went to click the chat. Together. Okay, I will be sending this to you. I apologize. It's pretty much a rah-rah, we can do this. And we can do this at the grassroots level, and we can do this at the highest level, and we're going to bring those resources in starting with great quality outcome programming, starting with children at birth through 3rd grade. All right, now let's see if I was able to flip to the. Now you guys know why I prefer in apologize. This is just a review. I'm kidding. Okay. So this is only the beginning of our story, and we need you. We're hoping that each of you at the 7 Promise Zone school districts and 13 charter schools will join one of our 6 work teams. And I'm going to be emailing you all tomorrow about our teacher preparedness team and how that we can bring in those resources so that our pre-K through 3rd grade teachers understand how to teach a child to read, how to teach a child from Black and Brown communities how to read, and to do it through a strong, culturally competent lens. We're going to need all of your input these years ahead to design and get it right. So just like I said, I will be contacting you soon about being part of the teacher preparedness work team. So as a work team member, here, I'm going to go back, apologize. As a work team member, you will play an active role in the planning process for Turn the Page STL. Work teams will meet 4 times a year. You will help us gather input from the community and industry members unable to attend meetings and share this input at our work team meetings. We will lend subject matter expertise to identify ambitious, needed, and valuable priorities for Turn the Page STL on a working team topic. You can assist with researching literacy best practices and advances that Turn the Page STL should adopt or consider adopting. You can lend inside knowledge of our community's priorities and needs. And you will assist in rationally prioritizing recommendations of our strategic plan and becoming an ambassador to promote community engagement and support for Turn the Page STL. And as I said, tomorrow I will send you information about being part of that work team. And our full completed Turn the Page STL strategic plan will also be sent to you, including our needs assessment, root cause analysis, and logic model. And we hope that you will forward that all to your stakeholders. Also, we have an exciting speaker series that's being formed right now that you will get information next week. It's called a speaker series, Racially Relevant Literacy in the Pre-K through 3rd grade Classroom. All of these presentations will be free, and those who register will receive a free copy of the presenter's book. This is in collaboration with the St. Louis Regional Literacy Association and St. Louis Black Authors of Children's Literature. Our first speaker in April will be Dr. Goldie Muhammad, who's professor at Georgia State University, where she also serves as the director of Urban Literacy Collaborative and Clinic and author of the highly acclaimed new book, Cultivating Genius, an equity framework for culturally and historically responsive literacy. And in September, we will return with a 2-part series presented by Dr. Rochelle Washington, a college professor of language and literacy education, who specializes in teaching the unique educational needs of students, teachers, and educators in diverse communities. At her sessions, she will work with teachers and families to gain strategies to engage books and healing approaches to support building relationships and perspectives from beyond one's own lens. And in October, our 2021 Literacy Speaker Series culminates with a presentation by Dr. Stephen Peters. He's president of the International Literacy Association, and he will be speaking about racially reflective literacy, pedagogy, and practices. These presentations will be in interview style, so we're asking the speakers the most relevant questions for our community, for our St. Louis community. And Julius B. Anthony, who is with St. Louis Black Authors of Children's Literature and now the president of the St. Louis Regional Literacy Association, will be the interviewer. I highly recommend also, next steps is to join and to have your teachers join the St. Louis Regional Literacy Association. It has become, how do I put it, reinvigorated. And we'll be doing a lot of professional development, free professional development for teachers this upcoming year, and to connect us with resources. I will send you his email and phone number again tomorrow if you'd like to get involved. If anybody has questions, I welcome them. I apologize about the technical errors. I always struggle with that, but I really thank everybody here for joining us, and hopefully getting involved in how we can improve third grade reading proficiency. Thank you, Bill. Bill Kent said, hey, technology, it's hard. I will tell you that this strategic plan that comes to you is going to be long and lengthy, but I hope that you all take the time to look at it, because we've put a lot of effort into how we can have so much, and yet our kids are coming out of our schools not reading, and it's just, as I started out, it's a social justice issue. I mean, how do you make sure our democracy doesn't work? How do you make sure our society doesn't work for those who are our lowest income and our Black and brown families? And the intentionality of this, we're going to break. We're going to break it hard. So,
Lisa,
yeah.
Lisa, can you talk a little bit about the other work groups that you listed and when those will take formation?
Sure, they're all starting in March. The kindergarten readiness work group is a lot of early childhood providers, literacy nonprofits. You're welcome to join any of these groups, by the way. But it's ensuring on day one, we start with a child, and we make sure that they get, when they enter kindergarten, your kindergarten teachers are ready to go, because we know that that's a huge issue. So for example, we piloted in Normandy this year. It's called the 3 T's program with just 20 families, and with STAR, which is a new professional development organization. And the 3 T's are tune in, talk, and take turns. And we are meeting with families, and they actually have devices on them so that we learn how many more words that they use. But when that baby is day one, we are tuning in, talking, and taking turns. And we are doing it in the cultural language that we choose. It does not matter if you talk to your child in Spanish, English, standard English, whatever we want to call that, power English. It doesn't matter. We need language. We need culturally rich language, those, especially from birth to age 5. Then the second group is our summer and out of school learning group. That is, a lot of that is our public libraries have joined. We are being, Maxine Clark with Blueprint for Summer Learning is leading the charge with this group. But it's how do we get 3 things. 1, the trust built in our summer school programs, primarily. There's a lot of lack of trust, and we're embarking on an idea of bringing reading captains into neighborhoods. And so not bringing them, they live in the neighborhoods where our kids are going to school. And these reading captains would meet with the families in their area and talk about great summer school programs, great out of school programs, great information about the library that they might have misperceptions about, information about charter schools, information about enrolling your child in pre-K, information about great early childhood centers, a plethora of stuff, but it's building that trust. It's also getting our programs that the kids are going to, adding a little bit of literacy to them. So a child that wants to go to a basketball camp over the summer, that's fantastic. We know that that works. But can we bring the library in to do a weekly reading session, or can we bring books in there? So it's adding that literacy component to it. That summer slide, and we have some examples. I'll give one of them is at Normandy, is the Freedom School that the Deaconess Foundation. It's expensive, but it works. It works very well. It is a summer school program, literacy based. that I would like to see duplicated throughout the St. Louis region. It's based on the Marion Wright Edelman model that was created 15, 20 years ago. Then our third, really our third one is teacher preparedness. And family engagement is our fourth. And that is really filled with families and how we can get families engaged in their child at the beginning, but also that trust factor. We know that a lot of people send their kids to home daycare providers or early child care providers that are part of the community. And then a lot of times then the child, when they enter kindergarten, there's a disconnect between being part of the community and this school climate. So it's really getting families engaged and trusting in their schools and engaged and trusting in their teachers that has broken down over generations also. Well, I need your voice, but I will be honest with you. All of these work teams, I need your voice there. I'm not coming up with anything. I'm just laying it out what I hear. So I'm hoping, Bill, that you'll be at one of those. The other thing is community awareness. Our community, you should have seen when I met with our county councilman. He's like, what? I didn't know that the issues around literacy were so great. Our mayor didn't know that. Our focus in St. Louis is not always on educational equity. It is right now on other very important issues: violence, taxes, but and fragmentation. What we need is a group of educators to bring this to the forefront. I was talking to my buddy, Jeffrey Rohn. I'm sure Sarah knows him with St. Louis Public Schools this morning. And we say this over and over and over again. You can give a child a fish or you can teach them how to fish, right? It's the only way out. And literacy is the fundamental foundation for all of this. I have you guys might know Keith Fuller, who's head of diversity and at the St. Louis Community College. And they're frustrated and they're getting on board with this because not enough of the kids that are entering the St. Louis Community College system get through. I think it's only actually of our African-American students that enter St. Louis Community College, only 4% graduate. And that is because they're doing remedial work and they can't get through the work that the St. Louis Community College requires them to get a degree. So I hope I answered that, Bill.
You did, thank you.
And like I said, I'm gonna send all of this to you. I'm gonna try to edit all my clumsiness in the middle out, see how that works tomorrow. But I will send out the video and, like I said, the strategic plan and an invitation to join our teacher preparedness group, but also I'll send you information about all the work teams. And I want an open line of communication. If there's things that you need, that your district or your school needs regarding literacy, whether it's, I've seen in the St. Louis Public Schools a need for some school libraries. Let's make that happen. Make those literacy priorities in your district and get them to me, and we will move forward. It may not just be professional development for teachers. It may be creating a community, school-wide literacy environment where the kids are coming to school reading early, they're doing poetry contests, they're reading with their grandparents via Zoom at night. Whatever it is, you guys know the needs and you can come, and my job is then to find and plug in those needs. Anybody else? I know we have a busy day. We're 3 more minutes. I appreciate all of your time. It's good to see Julie Harris on this call. And I will be in touch tomorrow. And please
Hey,
reach
Lisa,
out
it's good to see you too. Hi, Lisa.
You're busy. You're so busy.
I'm in the car. So
You will be getting all of this information from me tomorrow. So, and I please share them with your colleagues. Thank you.
Hi, Lisa and everybody. Sorry for coming on late, but
You're here.
I do have a lot to say to this literacy issue because I'm very passionate about it myself. But Lisa, offline, I would like to talk to you and I'll call you because, you know, it's something that we need to really go back and revisit with the schools and let's see what we're not doing or should be doing. Because I think some of it has to do with what we're doing in the school system. And because it's growing, this is getting out of hand. And I talk to people in different organizations and corporations, and the question is, you know, what are you guys doing in the K-12 public school system? We're getting too many of our young people coming to us that they do not have the reading skills and the writing skills as well. So, you know, it's something we do have to go back and revisit and look at how we're actually approaching this issue in the school system.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of it has to do with professional development for teachers and understanding what literacy really means. You know, it is listening, speaking, writing, reading, talking. And it's also, we really need to treasure and how we all communicate in different ways. We need to elevate that. And then when the kid hits kindergarten, we need to teach the white power, to be honest with you, standard English. We need those kids to learn that and learn how words are formed and sound out and get them the background knowledge to understand those words and become fluent and enjoy reading and enjoy it and captivate them. And I think there's some missing pieces. And I would even go so far as in many ways, and my university colleagues would disagree, but in intentional ways. And that has to end. It really does. These kids are starving for reading, starving. Remember your 3-year-old, read it again? Let's get our 3rd grader to say, read it again. So, Bernice, call me anytime. Okay.
I will do that. Okay.
Thank you. All right. Please stay in touch, everyone, and have a wonderful rest of your week.
Thank you. Everybody. Okay. All right.